evening, everyone. Yeah, I know, Tiff, we're only 8 minutes late. That's not bad.
I mean, we could always push it, Tiff, do our usual half hour late because stuff always breaks right before the stream.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright, so, welcome to Weaving Myths, the first actual kind of AMA, not quite AMA, overview for Baldr.
Yeah,
We haven't really done. Well, we haven't done any videos or anything yet because we keep not having time due to life. And I think the last time we showed anything on video was Mythweaver's meetup last year.
yeah, we're at what, 9 months plus now? Not quite.
So,
August, September, October, November, December, January. 6 months. 6 months. Well, we haven't been doing nothing, I guess. So that's better than nothing. All right, so welcome to everyone. I'm Eric, and joining me tonight is the Beard Master, Colin.
everyone, Colin.
We are two of the administrators here at Mythweavers, and we're here to talk about Project Baldr, which, as many people know it now, is in fact the launch of the new version of the site, which we hope to have in open beta here soon, TM.
Ideally, the goal is before fall.
Oh, we're going to beat before. Come on.
You know,
Come on.
I'm trying to give you a buffer. You're the one that has to program it. So
Look, the programming, I think we're actually in a really decent place
don't
to be
say
able
it.
to say it. We're going
That
to get there.
that's that's about on par with saying what's the worst that could happen.
Which is how I introduced this AMA. I mean, this is pretty much worst case. The two of us are going to babble for some period of time. People are going to throw questions and tomatoes at us, and we're going to dodge.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Oh, and joining us from staff is Whisper. Good
Maybe.
morning, Whisper. Good to see you. Maybe sometimes.
I feel
Who
like
knows?
Whisper's accidentally clicking the staff channel.
Yeah, it could be. You could see that.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so um, since it's been a few months, let's just kind of start at the beginning and do a general overview of what is Project Baldr, why are we doing this, and it really needs to start with the old site. This is Mythweaver's version 4. For those of you who haven't been around the site for 10 plus years, this is probably the only Mythweavers that you've ever seen. Um, I think version 4 launched just after I joined the site, which would have been 2008 timeframe. And it's this site's served us well. It's built on vBulletin. It's been reasonably robust, but it has shown its age. And to be honest, the coding team that was on board then, they're mostly still with us now, but they were a bunch of teenagers doing this as a side project, and they did some things that they themselves hate now as senior software developers. And the big one is they hacked into the vBulletin engine to bring in all of the cool features that you know and love. The dice rolling system, private tags, table, like all of those were features that were built the wrong way. And as a result,
Yeah.
upgrading from the version of vBulletin that we're on has basically been impossible. How many times do we try and do the big site upgrade?
So yeah, that is the thing worth mentioning because we've had people say, "Well, why the hell are you replacing the site? Why aren't you just upgrading the current site?" And the answer is we've tried
Yeah,
three
it would
times.
it would almost be rebuilding all of those features in whatever new version of vBulletin, which at that point prompted us to have a hard look at, well, what are the tools that are out there that we could use if we were going to essentially do a ground up redesign to try and fix past us and some of our sins. And what we found was there's actually some better forums technologies out there that are more extensible that do the things that we want to do better, which is how Project Baldr came to being. Project Baldr, new version of the Mythweaver site, as we revealed back in July, It's built on Envision Community, which is a different forum software. It's designed from the ground up to be extensible. Everything is extensible on the front end, which allows us to do some cool and interactive things. It's interactive or extensible on the back end, which allows us to integrate with external services. So things like single sign-on suddenly become a reality. Things like integrating with Discord so that game advertisements can pop up over in Discord when they get created. Those are now distinct possibilities. But at least from a beta perspective, we're just going to focus on the key things, which is how do we get to the point of being able to chat and play games the same way we do on the old site. I think the first thing that really grabbed us when we started looking at Envision was the fact that, oh, well, it was built 15 years later than vBulletin version that we're on. So modern web has grown up in that amount of time. We're looking at things like responsive design. One of the most common complaints that we get is, hey, I've got a widescreen monitor. This is a 1500-ish pixel wide window here that I'm streaming to you. Look at all this wasted space over here on the sides where I'm just there's nothing there. Why can't I take advantage of my big screen to get on more content? And that's what responsive layout does. You can look and see that if we switch over to new site, well, those margins at the sides are somewhat more respectful of your screen. Still got the same kind of content though. You got your forum listing and it's a little bit bigger, a little bit cleaner. And then you've got your game listing over here. All of the menus are nested up at the top. And it's mobile friendly is not the right word. That's the one that people keep harping on, that, oh, you're focusing so much on mobile. It's really that it is accessible. Many of the things that we did in the old site, like mouse over drop-down menus, those really hurt people who want to join the community who have any sort of impairment that prevents them from using a mouse or using other assistive technologies if they needed a screen reader.
Screen readers are a huge one for this.
Yeah, the site layout just can't handle that at all. So it's almost not even worth not so much friendly as an uneasy détente.
Thank you, Matt.
That's pretty accurate. So those features are just built in from the get-go at the framework. We just take full advantage of those right here. Yeah, for those of you who happen to catch the URL there on the stream or are watching this later, tough luck. You can't actually get there unless you're IP whitelisted. It's locked.
So, and on the mobile friendly front, because we've had people say, oh, you just think you can grow the site because you're making it mobile friendly. Mobile friendly is a perk.
Yep.
We are not going to this because it's mobile friendly. We're going to this because we don't have to worry about the site self-destructing over every little tweak to settings.
Right. Or, random content that people insert that finds ways to skirt the edges of what we bounded. This has a lot more ability for us to make sure that we sanitize things so that it just hangs together and doesn't break in random, unexpected ways. So that having been said, we got our menus, we've got our social integrations, all that just kind of comes along for the ride. Forums look about like they did before. They're just grouped. We've got our announcement forums, you got site announcements. Inside that, you've got threads, which are called topics in IPS. You click into a thread, you get post content. So that's all pretty basic, right? Except that if Colin were to go to post something in one of these threads, that I happen to be reading, I'd get a little notification at the bottom that said, hey, there's new content in this thread. And just click on it and adds it on. So the responsiveness and the notifications are another thing that comes along for the ride. If I were to subscribe to this thread, which is pretty easy because you just go up here to follow, click on it, and you can select whatever notifications you want, then I would get those notifications as soon as there was new content. So I personally find that is extremely powerful when I'm dealing with similar things at work, and so to have that power on the play side as well is a significant benefit to me. When we talked about notifications, you've still got your private message type things here. Oh, look, thank you, Colin. Show reply.
Figured that would be nice to show.
Yeah, there we go. And yeah, you still got private messages, but you do have a responsive modal here. Private messages can actually be group conversations, which we didn't have before.
You
All of
could
these are
send, yeah, it's worth noting, you can send a group message, but it's more like sending a bunch of individual messages at once with the same
on,
content.
yeah, on the old site. Exactly. They're basically
Yeah.
separate, which meant that there was no reply all here. But if you have a conversation here, um, you have your participants up at the top, and it works just like a thread, basically a private thread. So that's pretty cool. On the moderation side, we also get some cool new toys, but I don't need to show those off because you really don't care, because you are all good people and none of you are going to break any of the rules ever.
I know Tiffany is pretty shady. You know
Forgot
it's
the
true.
Tiff was here.
Oh
Forgot
yes.
the Tiff was here. Anyhow, that's not why we're here, because why we're here is to play games, right? And that's what the site's about. Let's talk about games. So games are built on an existing IPS feature called clubs. We just relabeled it because this is essentially what we were trying to get out of vBulletin when we built the game forums back in the existing site. That's another one of those hacks that we did. If you're to look at an existing site game forum, you see down at the bottom that there are moderators listed. We basically hacked in to allow ordinary members to be moderators in a very specific context. That was hard, real hard. And replicating that in a way that doesn't break would have been real hard, even in a newer version of vBulletin.
Yeah,
But
it's.
on,
I was gonna say
go ahead.
real quick, Eric. It's worth noting that because when people have complained about, well, why is there an archive time limit if the forum isn't active in so many days? And it's because that entire thing for the current site was hacked together. vBulletin was not made effectively. What you're doing every time you make a game is you're making a game forum, or you're making a new forum on the site,
Right.
and it's applying moderation permissions and yeah, stuff that vBulletin wasn't meant to do that they hacked into vBulletin's core code
Yeah.
to make it do that.
Yeah. So games, clubs, whatever you want to call it, is designed from the get-go to allow essentially a sub-community to form within the main community. And it's got its own permissions model, and it gives the control to the leaders of that game, which we've conveniently labeled as game masters because, well, that's what we do, gamers. Oh yeah, and relabeling is a matter of going into the labels list and saying this label says this, I want to say that instead. It's designed for internationalization or localization, but it allows us to essentially customize what it looks like. We're not necessarily going to take it to the next level of internationalizing everything on the site because, frankly, our moderating team is all generally native English speakers, with the exception of probably Whisper. So it's going to remain the way it is in the current site, that public games are going to be English language only. But yeah, game directory, you've got basically your list of all of the games. It's got filters built in, so you can just go in. We haven't fully broken this out yet, but basically you can pick systems to filter by. You can pick by whether or not games are advertising, and we actually built that into the main menu. So if you just want the games that are advertising, click here. There's the games that are advertising. Advertising is simple for the game master, because if you want to advertise, all you have to do is go to manage the game, edit the game settings, be like, oh, I'm advertising, or not. Yeah, so I'm here. This happens to be a game that Powderhorn is running for a number of the testers. He calls it Monster of the Week. When you drop into a game, you're going to get something that looks like this. On the left-hand side, I got the list of here's all the members, including here is the game owner. and you've got your overview tab. So what used to be the left-hand menu on a game here and kind of here, because, well, we hacked it in different ways for different features. Now it's all tab based. So each one of these is a tab that you can switch between. And the specifics of those tabs are controlled by the game owner. They can add things as they need them. They can remove them when they don't need them. I think there are a couple things that you can't remove, but generally, it works, to be as customizable as you want. You can also get the list of game members, character sheets. We are still actively working on character sheet integration. One of the things that's not going to change when we make the transition over, the character engine will stay exactly the same as it is right now for the beginning. Ultimately, we're working on yet another redacted project, which, spoiler alert, is going to be making it a lot easier to build new sheets. Right now, unless you're a HTML CSS guru, writing sheets is very difficult. It's basically hand coded. So the goal is to make that so that anyone who wants to put together a sheet layout, which might hopefully be as easy as a forum post, but that's going to take a little longer.
We'll see. We're getting there.
But yeah, character sheets integration. He's not actually using this here, so there aren't any. But yeah, game forums. If you want more than one forum inside your game, you just add another one. Just go in here and add what's called topics. They did that on purpose because forums are public and topics are part of a game or a club. So it's just there's a little bit of different lingo that we'll have to learn, but this allows you to have as many of these as you want. Whereas those of you who have been on the site for a while know that there are some hard limits in terms of how many folders you can create and nest. Here, you just add another one. He's only got one here, but we have some test games that have 3 or 4, and really the sky's the limit. If you make this bar with too many tabs, it'll just widen the bar and add the tabs on an extra row. So pretty easy.
This is going to be, real quick, Eric, it's worth noting that's going to make Pathfinder Society and similar setups. God, I'm drawing a blank on the D&D equivalent.
Adventures League.
Adventures League, yes, thank you. So that's going to make Pathfinder Society and Adventures League, it's going to make it way easier for them to do it. You aren't going to have a game with, 40 co-GMs.
Yeah, I could go to the wiki main page. I could get the active games. I could go sort by the number of posts, because that's going to give us, hey, there's the Adventures League game. Let's bring that one up here, just so we can cross compare. You'll note that it takes a few seconds for the game forum to actually load because of all of this. So they can just have a game forum for S10 Icewind Dale, and all of the content for that is inside that one game forum inside the club.
It doesn't list all the sub forums for that.
Right. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, Powderhorn actually has 3 game forums here. So he's got the one which is the actual, here's the, oh look, there's a bugs thread. I'll go follow that one. Don't send me any notifications.
Of course not, because once they know you get notifications, they're going to spam it.
Ping at 3 a.m. Anyhow,
I'd say that doesn't sound like us, but it totally sounds like us.
They do it on purpose. They'd be, hey, Eric, 327, ping. No actual bug, just wanted to ping you. So, yeah, you've got game forums with threads on the inside. It's pretty easy. Oh, there is actually a layout change here. So if you want to have a little bit more context on what's going on in the game forum, you can actually expand it out here and get the first post in that view. That's kind of cool. But yeah, he has 3 separate game forums, one for applications. So when you're advertising and you want your applications to be kind of segregated and not have them all intermixed with the game content, yeah, you can do that. It's it's amazing that I didn't even look over there, and the chat is completely littered with friendly members.
Several of the closed beta testers going, well, I mean, yeah, we might be like that. Yeah.
A little bit. Totally are. And then you can actually create private forums. So yeah, this one is only available to Powderhorn. Oh, will be now be ready for the pings? Well, the pings are only going to show up here for me. So I don't mind if this number gets to 10,000.
As long as his phone doesn't go off at
Bingo.
3 in the morning.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, I mean, games are pretty cool. I mean, there's obviously some fun features here, like this. You can put a background photo on your game. You can put a cover photo on your game, so you can really customize it, make it awesome. But you don't have to do any of that. I mean, if I go back to the list of games and I go to the grid view, you can see some of them are awesome, and then some of them are just going to have the default, like there's the Mythweaver's logo and the dice image on the back. Everyone gets that. You don't have to customize it. It won't look like nothing. So yeah, yeah. If you do that, yeah, you do have my phone number too. Dang it.
See what happens when we do Mythweavers meetup? People swap phone numbers.
Yes. And take pictures.
Yep. So,
all
I
right.
was going to say one of, if I can remember what I was just going to bring up. Oh,
Was it a
pages.
Poster question?
No,
Pages?
it was pages.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even talk about pages.
No, we didn't talk about pages. So, a lot of you guys know that, a lot of folks know that we have the wiki on the current site. And it uses Markdown, and some people adore Markdown, and some people look at Markdown and go, what the hell is this? How do I even do stuff in this?
And it's not Markdown. It's semantic media wiki language.
It is a twisted, corrupted version of Markdown.
Markdown was designed to simplify to make it easier to do what you do with SMW. But
so we've gotten, or at least I've gotten a few times, I think Eric's gotten a few inquiries about, is the wiki going to stay? Is the wiki going to go away? There's no final determination on that yet. However, yeah, there we go. Add page, Eric.
Yeah, add page. Let's see if, well, yeah, I'll mess with this. We can always delete it. So you can actually add, using the full power of the editor, whatever content you want to your own page as a game owner. You can make the page visible or not visible. And it's basically a free-form wiki. You can put table of contents on it. You can scroll all around. It's pretty awesome.
You can make pages. The table of content can link pages together. You can link within the page, I believe.
Yep.
Last I knew, that was still acting a little buggy. You were working on it, but
yeah, it comes down to they were. So take a step back. So Envision Community is designed for very large, very diverse communities. So a lot of things that we did, like building out hundreds of game forums, which vBulletin looks at and says, holy cow, what are you doing? Envision's designed to do that from the ground up. So that's not as much of a problem. And
we don't need to archive for stability in Envision.
Right. But that actually wasn't where I was going. Because they're designed for that, they're designed assuming that, well, you're going to have a certain level of uncontrolled semi-maliciousness among users. And so they have a lot of features to lock down and make sure that the content that you put in your post is sane HTML that's not going to be malicious. We have loosened some of those reins in a couple of places to allow for nicer formatting and to allow for things like linking within the page, which normally wouldn't be supported.
TIFF, as far as keeping auto archive, undetermined.
Yep.
May stay, may go away. If it stays, however, we're probably going to stretch out that
Oh, definitely.
duration because yeah,
The auto archiving rule was there because vBulletin was so unstable with a large number of forums that if we had a forum that wasn't actively being used, it was draining site resources, it was contributing to performance problems for everyone else who were active users. Jimmy,
Jimmy,
there are other sites for that. I'll
Jimmy is
point you
why
to
we
them.
can't have nice things.
Yeah, yeah, and Andrew has been extremely helpful um, in trying to inject malicious stuff just to see what would happen. Spoiler alert, it's pretty locked down.
Yeah, Andrew has been very aggressive and has the background to know what can and can't break things fairly easily. So,
Yep. I mean, there are some things that we're going to allow you to do that you can go break the site layout a little bit. A little bit. Not like when people had unconstrained BB code before we put in the validator that would completely bork the thread and nothing could be done except an admin or a moderator go in and tease apart the BB code until we found the mismatch tag. Here, you're just going to get weird things like, oh, you set the width of that table to 10 million pixels. Okay, bad person. I can still find the post, edit it, and fix it, and then slap you with an infraction for being malicious, semi-malicious.
it's one of those things where yeah, yeah, some of those thread breaks were so bad that you try to go and look at the post in the thread and it breaks for the admins.
Yeah, yeah, we had to go database hunting for some of them. Not
So
fun.
that's not
Anyhow,
possible anymore.
right. So pages are awesome. Um, and so effectively, those are a replacement for the world portion of the wiki. And if we take out the world portion of the wiki, then now let's talk about, well, what's left. And it's mostly site rules and help documents. And there's already,
We
um,
have pages on the
yeah,
site.
support articles. We got a knowledge base that we can just add to and that people can actually search effectively
Instead of relying on the Google search, which doesn't really work great.
because of private tags and threads and stuff.
Hmm.
Yes, you did add text with a line height of 9,001 pixels. It was over 9,000
Oh, come on, Whisper. You loved going in and fixing those BB code issues.
because he was usually the one who was on because people would post it at odd hours of the night for those of us who are in the US, but Whisper is fortunately not in the US. So he's usually the first one up and sees it, and he can't help himself.
Hey, some people are masochists.
Yeah, and they're mostly our staff.
That's true. That's why they're still our staff.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyhow, so that's the kind of the construct of the game. What used to be the game forum. Now it's just going to be called a game, and we can make as basically as many of these as we want, and we haven't run into any issues. It's pretty nice. It's very nice.
Oh, of note, there's still we don't have a actual advertisements form yet. I don't believe.
No, so we've been toying with, and I think this is kind of the hybrid approach that we're taking here of just allowing advertisements to be flagged, um, and it's kind of up to the GMs to unadvertise. We may put in some
We will put
back
in a calendar because I'm sick of people griping at me about it.
backstopping, yes. So if you advertise, it's going to cut off after, I don't know, 3 4 weeks, something,
I'd
a
say,
month.
Eric, I have faith that you can actually make it user configurable.
Damn you! Damn you! That was a challenge, wasn't it?
Yes, yes, it was. Kai, could you clarify what you mean about the list of games? Are you talking about the system options when you make a game? And we'll continue on while Kai answers,
Right,
since, chat delay and such.
right. And it's important to note here that you've got like the list of games is a lot of games, and recognize that there's definitely going to need to be some capability of sorting. What about people who start games and then need to recruit six? Well, that's why it's configurable, so that you can go to your game setting and say, I'm going to start advertising and cut off advertising at this date.
Chimi says he has no faith in your code ability, Eric.
That's fair. But I know some good guys who are actual software developers. We'll get through this.
So yeah, game systems. So yeah, Kai, the way on the current site, the way we add game systems is a couple of the administrators that are actually code types, so not me, have to go into the database and add them manually to the database.
Yeah. So
the new system, I can go into the admin control panel and add stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty swanky.
Which, yeah, the new system, any administrator can go in and add those. So my entire purpose is working with the members on stuff, member relations, all that. So typically the people that go to the username change request thread, I am 99% of the time I'm the one handling those, because Eric and Rodrigo's time is better spent playing around with the code. Yeah, exactly, Tiff. So,
Yep. So yeah, if I were to go in and say, in another browser window over here that you can't see, add another game system, it takes us 5 seconds, 10 seconds maybe. The longest part is actually logging into the admin control panel to go do it.
So yeah, it's not going to be something that takes forever because we have to wait for a code monkey to go into the database to add it.
Right. I mean, the hardest part, honestly, is you can see that this is designed for a fairly small list of options, shall we say. I'm actually going to have to figure out a way to go make this filtering capability a little bit more robust, which is just a matter of writing a plugin against this particular dialog box, so that it can be a multi-select drop-down instead of a... how many game systems do we have? How many game systems do we have, Colin?
Oh, God.
100? It's like
least.
100.
Yeah.
Now this will be a matter of, okay, now we just need to make this into a wieldy list, kind of like we have on old site.
Hey, Chimi, you're just watching the stream. Why don't you add it to the Trello?
Yeah, I mean, come on, we're busy. Yeah, if I went here and said I want to go make a game, yeah, obviously we've got...
There's a few.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, since Eric mentioned write a plugin, that's one of the big things with Envision. So the current site, the dice roller, all that stuff was custom written and hacked directly into vBulletin's code.
Yep.
The new site is made to take plugins.
Yeah, so these social icons up here, just as a very simple example, these first two, these are out of the box. They have out of the box integrations for Twitter, for Facebook, for Instagram, for a whole bunch of things that I've never even heard of. I mean, I'm sure that Snapchat and other things that are common are on there, but there are other ones that are just like, what platform is that? Never seen it before. But Discord was not on their default list. I wrote a plugin to add the Discord icon there.
So
it's
yeah.
Easy. Anyhow, so yeah, the whole plugin architecture is what supports the dice integration, which we'll show you off here in a second, and and a lot of the other nifty features that we'll get to with Sheets integration eventually. So let's dive back into a game form to get to kind of what that looks like here. Drill my way down. I guess this is the common way to drill. I could just go across tabs, but if I went back to that overview tab down here, there's actually an activity stream. So when people post, you can see what's new, regardless of what thread it's in. So I'll jump to that newest post there. So here's our post layout. Post bit's a lot more streamlined than it was, and we can write plugins against the post bit. So those of you who have been like, why can't I have a post bit that tells me about my character instead of about me personally? Keep your eyes open. It's coming. So we got the post content here, and this was added in. So here's our dice plugin. So dice show up on every post in game forums only. And you can add dice or remove dice as you need, but yeah, generally they'll always be there. That one's got one. Here's one where they're, whoops, scroll happy here. Here's one where no dice have been rolled yet. As you can see, if the dice strings get too big, or if you're in a, say, a mobile layout where you don't have the screen width to support this layout, then the dice will drop underneath. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in the way. And I did hear there's a question. We haven't gotten to all the user questions yet, but there was a user question about, well, what if I like my game to be streamlined and I don't want to see the dice in the thread? Well, we're looking at various options there. One of which would be a checkbox somewhere on this page where you can just like minimize all the dice. That way I only see the conversation. One of the things that this allowed us to do is get rid of some of the vagaries about the dice cheating system and about the dice integration into the post. There's actually no dice tag or roll tag anymore. It's just always off to the side. You need to roll dice, you click on the dice button, you get this handy little box up here. You can provide whatever context you want, like this is my charisma roll. You put in your dice string, and the dice strings are actually going to be different than the current site, because what we realized is that rather than having 15 or 20 arcane flags that tell you what you want to do, what you really want is something like, I don't know, 5d6, keep top 4. We're going to try and make it as user-friendly as possible so that it's not something repeat 5. So I'll
Which
roll 5
really
sets.
means, even though Eric's typing it out, it's probably going to be some checkboxes or drop downs or something.
There may be some buttons here, maybe some dice images here. I mean, for those of you who have ever used Roll20 or what's the one we were doing with Ruben, Fantasy Grounds.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll try and make it as cool and user friendly experience as possible. But power users, never fear. I'm a keyboard warrior, and I will fight for you.
He will keep it complex as an option just for the masochists that are watching.
There will always be a way, though. There will be the easy buttons, and then there will be the hard button, the keyboard buttons, where you can write it out. But it's not going to be some sort of arcane thing that you have to remember. And that is a theme that we're going to repeat a lot here, because right now I'm showing you the dice. When we switch over to the editor, the same concept applies here. But yeah, the dice, this integration is actually to a separate dice application that sits outside of the context of Envision, and the two of them talk to each other. So the dice get stored externally in the Dice Tower app. You can obviously get previews. You can do cool things like that. I think there's let's see, we've got Fate dice.
Don't you have to give it a number?
Yeah, that's right. Because I forgot to bias it. Dang.
So, since Eric's talking about different types of dice, stuff that is coming, image dice is one of the eventual objectives. It may not be present when we go to open beta. It will be present by the time we hit the first initial release.
Right. And that's going to be something that's actually pretty awesome here, is that the game forum knows the game system that it's tied to. So if you have a system selected, that uses image dice, instead of just having the random dice icons here for your D4, D6, whatever, it will actually have the ones that you care about.
And
So,
then for folks like the Savage Worlds crowd, Eric assures me that a dedicated playing card deck specific to that game for him that remembers the cards drawn so far is coming, and he swears it's not as difficult as it sounds.
Shimmy asked a question over here. Or not Shimmy, sorry. Tiff asked a question over here about, can you make it so the GM can lock in dice roll methods? Maybe. I'd have
Andrew?
to think about that one.
Andrew? Yes, Savage Worlds.
Yes. Wade. It's coming. So I guess we'll have to think about locking in dice roll methods, because yeah, I can recognize that there'd be value in maybe only having certain specific sets of dice rolls. But one of the things that I've learned a lot in my software development, my day job, is constrain things where it matters. And I'm not sure that it matters so much that they use the wrong dice roll. It would be harder for the GM to maintain the game if we constrained it that way.
The
So,
GM would have to micromanage, and some of us hate that concept.
oh yes. So, okay, fine. Yep. 2 decks. Yes. Colin obviously said deck, but decks plural is definitely also possible.
Yes. And then also, I don't know if Matt is still watching, but related, because Matt asked in the pre-podcast thread, many players want to be immersive in their posts by role-playing a character in their actions, but dice are a very, very mechanical / gamey thing. Frequently, games have people roll outside of the in-character thread, for example, to avoid this. Will Baldr do better in both allowing, adjudicating actions via roll in a post and maintaining immersion in the character's actions? So, yes.
Yeah. It's all going to be, the dice are separate from the post content. That gives us the power to minimize them, or if necessary, eliminate them. I mean, there's already a relatively crude limit in here that says, hey, if this isn't a game forum, no dice.
Oh, hey, Matt's still here. Cool. Yeah, just
Yep.
wanted to address, even though, since you are still watching, you saw us go through it, but yeah, just wanted to address, we do actually try to answer the pre-podcast questions.
Yep.
Unless they come from Chimi or Logan.
All right. So, yeah, that's dice. We started toying with character sheet integration. This is totally not a complete thing. But the idea is, for all of you who love stat blocks, and we know there are a lot of you who are out there who love stat blocks, having the ability to tab over and get the stat block for your character. Whoops, I took one that is now narrow enough to fit to the side. So I apologize for the jump, but yeah, conceptually, having a stat block layout that is GM driven, or at least system driven, definitely in the cards.
I believe your concept notes for that include user configurable, Eric?
Yeah, there's some user configurability there too, because hey, we're all gamers. We all love our characters, and for every character who's Grok the Dwarf Stomper who cares about his strength and his base attack bonus, there's going to be casters out there who want to know about all of their whiz bang features.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's still very much a work in progress, and will not be
That,
available at the beta.
I was going to say, that might not come until after the initial version 1 release.
That is almost certainly true.
Because it's not recreating an existing Mythweaver's feature, so it's not a priority for the initial launch.
And we know that the existing Mythweaver's features is relatively limited to a handful of systems that actually support it. So part of our goal will be to make it not rely on the coding skills of the person who built the sheet, being a JavaScript wizard to build a stat block.
Oh, brief aside, since you'd mentioned earlier, Eric, about the entire, changes will eventually happen for Sheets, etc., etc. Secret project, no real details. I just want to address any possible concerns now. If something changes with Sheets, it will change in a way where everything translates over to the new system without the users needing to do anything.
Yeah.
We
The
will
big
not
sheet system, the big sheet system that we made changed almost 10 years ago now.
where
That
you
set
had
the
to convert things, and
Mhm.
we're not doing that again.
Yeah, that set the groundwork for data portability. It also allows us to even conceptualize things like ingesting sheet data from other platforms. Roll20. Um,
So yeah, it's
D&D Online.
so just wanted to address that. Yeah, we're not going to, if we go to a new sheet system, you're not going to have to convert or get forced into read only if you don't do it for a year.
Right.
That's not happening again.
Yeah. The whole point, and I talked about the dice roller being an external application, is we're building a service architecture, if you will. So each one of these services is independent but can talk to other services as needed. So the sheets are completely independent service, which means that we can either serve up the layout as you've come to know and love it from the existing set sheets, or we can serve it up in maybe a condensed form, or we can stream it to an external application, although taking data off the site may be constrained in certain ways and may require certain subscriptions to do, but that's all TBD. We'll get to that later. For now, sheets stay exactly the same. Exactly the same. The only level of integration that we've done is allow you to pull that data in from from the old site to the new. So if I were to go to Powderhorn's game and link one of my sheets here, I'll just go grab this one. Why not? I don't need the whole link. I just need the ID. But we'll take the whole link now. Drop it there so that I can get that numeric link. As you can see, it's literally just the old site embedded in the new site. So nothing fancy here, but the goal is that eventually we'll be able to take the data that supports all of this and make it native to whatever visualization we want to provide. All right, so now that I've messed with this game sufficiently, should we talk about the editor? Post-editing, post-writing?
We should talk about the editor.
Yeah, because that's the place where I'm certain that we've gotten most of the questions in the past. Because
Questions, concerns, vehemently expressed concerns,
yeah,
accusations, anger.
yeah,
I mean, I get the anger. I'd be angry at you in general anyway, Eric, but
I deserve it most of the time if you just ask Merlana. But
yes.
yeah, so post-editing. One of the things that those of you who have been on site for a while know and love is BB code. Well, BB code it's code. It takes a little bit to write, takes a little bit to learn, and
God
to
help
be
you if you do something fancy.
yes, and to be quite honest, it's a barrier to entry for some newer people.
Severely so.
Yep. So one of the powers of InVision is it's got a built-in what you see is what you get visual layout editor so that you can create your post just using buttons and keyboard shortcuts, and it looks kind of like you're dealing with a text editor like or a word processor like Microsoft Word. We get it. Some of you are deeply invested in being able to super customize your content, and for that, we have source mode. So you can definitely switch between the two of them and say, is I don't know, bold, italics, text. Obviously, I wasn't using any of the buttons there, so it was all keyboard shortcut driven. And then switch over to source mode, and it's going to show you the HTML source. So yes, a different language. It's not BB code. BB code's actually, the level of support for that is going way down. There are less and less platforms that can handle it, simply because it's just not what people are used to now.
InVision actually, about 2 months ago, 3 months ago,
Officially
removed
deprecated it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they removed the last support for it, so its BB code is on its way out hard.
Right.
Outside of
Um,
early 2000s websites like Mythweavers, which
right.
one of the reasons we're getting rid of the current version.
Yep. And yes, we've had some questions about, well, can you do Markdown instead? Some people like that. Um, Unfortunately, there's about 15 different flavors of Markdown. And while there are some that are more popular than others, there's no guarantee that that's going to be a great solution. And when it comes down to it, Markdown supports features that matter for Markdown. They're not going to support out of character tags, spoiler tags, complex layouts, making pretty posts. So this is kind of the hybrid approach that we're taking, is that you either have the full power or you don't. For the most part, I think most people would be happy with not having the full power. But yeah, you can definitely do things just in line here and expect them to work reasonably if you know what you're going to type. I have no idea what I'm typing. But as long as you type syntactically correct HTML5 that's using tags that are allowed by our HTML sanitizer, then you can get away with it. And then that whatever you type in the source box gets directly translated into the what you see is what you get. So you know that you got what you wanted before you go ahead and submit your reply.
Now, worth noting, anything you can do, I believe, in the source editor with HTML5 is stuff you can do in the normal WYSIWYG rich text editor format
Correct.
system.
Yep. We try and make these buttons as rich as possible here. So as you can see, we've got a few ones here that are specific to us. So we've got field sets. Well, loved field sets. That was the first thing I had to go fix, was the lack of field sets. OOC tags. Oh boy, how much crap did we take on OOC tags?
3 pages of post worth at least.
We definitely had people who were questioning our sanity.
We went, hey, the website's not going to be balanced on a knife edge for stability. We're making all these improvements, and all we got was, what the hell do you mean OOC tags are going away? You monsters, keep the bad system. We need our OOC tags. So initially Eric said probably not going to happen, and then Eric did his typical code monkey thing and went, well, it'll be a little difficult. And then, 2 days later he's going, oh, hey, by the way, here's OOC tags. I worked on it for like 2 hours.
Please don't talk me up like that. People will expect miracles.
No. It's worth noting, Eric's kind of like an idiot savant with this stuff. He'll say it's going to be complex as hell and an absolute nightmare, and then he'll have a sudden breakthrough that he can't quite explain. It's not a guarantee, it just happens sometimes, and OOC tags were one of those.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, we got OOC tags, we've got spoilers. Obviously, we're still working on icons. I think Andrew is probably staring cross-eyed at these icons and saying, "Come on, man, can't you do something?" I'm not a graphic artist. I'm just a code monkey. And then we got tables. Yeah, let's do tables first, because tables were the thing that are just the literal hackiest thing we did in the old site.
Oh my god, yes. If you have done tables in the old site, you know they're hell.
All right, so tables. How big do we want it? Let's make it 5 rows and 4 columns across. And we'll make the first row headers, and I want it to be 100% as wide as the post. Yeah, let's just go with that right now. Borders, yeah, I want borders. Keep them on. Oh, look, there's my table. I actually don't need this column to be that wide. Well, let's just grab that and drag it on over here. Maybe I want
Oh,
that cell to be, I don't know, red.
now it's worth noting real quick here. Eric,
Mm-hmm.
what was it? Control right click?
So yeah, it's control right click if you're a Windows person. It's command right click if you're a Mac person, but it's the same
So yeah, it's
bloody thing.
several of the new features have a control right click context menu, which
Yep.
is what he is displaying without explaining it because damn code monkeys.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, you can control everything with your mouse, but you could also go to source mode and you could say, oh yeah, no, I want this one to be like, yeah, 200 pixels, and I want it to be not red. I want it to be green.
Just click
And
OK. Most of our
then it will do it.
users just go cross-eyed when they stare at source mode. I go
Yeah,
cross-eyed when I stare at source mode.
yeah. So tables, that these are dang slick.
No more mixing up table and
R
row
tags.
numbers and screaming at it for why won't it show things and
Where's my orientation here? Yeah, yeah. Tables are awesome. Um,
spoilers.
Countdown for the QR code made out of a Baldr table.
Whisper, you know that's just going to be Eric, right? Eric's already run Weaving Myths does tabletop games where the map was done in Excel.
Yeah, so I mean, I could literally make my combat map here,
Please no.
but but okay, fine. Let's talk about field sets. Field sets use a nifty feature in the editor called widgets. So you can actually see kind of these light blue lines that are around this. This is a block of content. So it won't come apart from each other. The title, whatever my title is, and oh by the way, yeah, you can actually just literally drag and drop images into the title of your field set. So no more of this trying to remember, is it image or image two, and do I have to pre-process the image? No, just drag and drop it in and then resize the image on the fly. And then content, well, the content can be whatever you want it to be.
On speaking of dragging and dropping in images, a lot of us use the screen snipping tool or Discord. A lot of us are used to just going to a site and copying the image and just Control V pasting it into Discord's text and sending it.
Yeah.
You can do that in this. You can copy
Yes.
paste an image. Now, that said, just because I need to say it, if you're copying artwork from someplace to use for game stuff, please still give the image credits. It's easier to post it, but we still want the artist to have credits.
Yep. Definitely have to have artist credit here. So I'm gonna. There we go. That's a little big, right? So I don't know. Let's make it 40 pixels. Oh, keep our aspect ratio. That's really nice. Um, There we go. I don't need to add more images here. That's good enough. Okay, and I mentioned widgets, so everything that's in this group is together. So if I just grab the handle here, I can drag this up above that table, and just the whole thing goes.
I don't think we've had anyone go wild yet and make a fancy post character sheet.
Oh yes, we have.
Have we? Has Sarek
Uh-huh.
gotten to it? Was it
Yeah,
Sarek?
we'll jump over there here in a second.
Okay, I was gonna
And
say
yeah,
I
so
assume it's Sarek, but
I think Powderhorn egged him on too.
that doesn't sound like Powder at all.
You were gonna try to do a CSS linear gradient. You probably can do CSS linear gradient. I just haven't tried it.
You nut
There's some
jobs.
limit to the style tags that we're gonna allow you to do. There's reality.
Because we
Anyhow,
have users like Andrew
yeah.
who are HTML5 gurus, and yeah.
All right, so OOC. OOC works with a dialog box. There are technical reasons. As much as I would have liked to make it look like the widget like the other one, the reality is that the hidden text, you don't want to see it when you're in WYSIWYG mode because it would get in the way. And then actually on the editor implementation, they have a gap where inline widgets are not possible under the current version. So while we wait for InVision to wise up and upgrade to a newer version, this is the way you deal with your OC. So something I can see, but not see this. So there it is. I mean, you can not see the thing that you're not seeing. But if I double click on it, I can bring up that same dialog box. And this is fully HTML. So if you want to go source mode to victory.
And I believe if you click on it, it will still show in the WYSIWYG, yeah?
Not in the editor.
Okay.
That's on purpose because otherwise it would get in the way of other things and you might end up with clashing visual layouts that would be really hard to edit. So rather than creating something dangerous or hard to use, I did it that way. But yeah, I could take this and drop it inside my table here. Piece of cake. I'll just save. Save. There we go. So live adds it to the thread. Now I've got my field set here. I've got my my OOC tag. If I click on it, I get the content. Click instead of hover because accessibility. Oh, dang it. I forgot spoilers.
Yes, you did.
I did. Go back here. Spoiler. Let's put a spoiler. Can I put a spoiler here? Yeah, it says I can put a spoiler here. So spoilers, because they are they're not inline. I can actually do WYSIWYG on it here. And apparently I have a bug in the behavior there where it's actually toggling when I'm editing text.
And this is why we have the bug reports category in Trello.
Yeah, I'm sure that Shimmy is just writing this in a Trello card while I'm waiting. If I want to add that same Amy image there, I can just click on the image from the images that I've uploaded this post and put it in another spot. All right, so got my spoiler here. Let me go save the change. Yeah, so now I got a spoiler. I click on that. It pops open the spoiler box. Pretty straightforward.
And really, spoilers were ones were the tag we intended to get put in and replicated and working to begin with. OC got added in because, well, there was unhappiness. And Eric had an idiot savant moment where, boom, he figured it out, so...
Right. Well, ultimately, the thing that I figured out was I could do the dialog box thing and it would work. and I figured that most people would prefer working and having the feature and having a maybe slightly less helpful way of editing the content than not having it all. So there we go. Those are most of our basic features out of the existing BB code list. If we go back over to the site and we do the hey, what are my BB code features? Most of the ones that are specific to us. I mean, the rules data tag, that was great. We built it for D&D 3.5. That is no longer the dominant gaming system after 15 years. And
crazy how it just got phased out like that.
Amazing. I mean, it survived one edition, but it didn't really survive two editions.
Yeah.
Stat blocks, well, we're probably going to incorporate that in a completely different and better way. Language tags.
Pending.
Languages are hard because those require knowledge of the person who's viewing the thread, which it messes with a whole bunch of stuff. So whether those language tags become something that's actually capable probably is a later thing. We can do the simple version of language tags where it obfuscates the text and you click on it and you get the content like an OOC tag. That can probably happen in relatively short order. It's just the automatic translation for the people who know the language.
Getting it set up so that the character sheet determines this, that, the other, that you can or can't translate it.
Right. That's going to take a little bit more know-how. But I know how I would want to do it. It's just not the time priority right now.
You're not supposed to tell them you figured it out yet.
Look, otherwise I'm going to get a Chimmy challenge.
Yeah, fair.
Like, you're going to figure this out. I know you. No, you'll never figure this out because you're just a dummy. No, I've already figured it out. We got to prioritize getting the open beta out. No parse tag. Hey, we don't need those anymore.
There's no more code. Yay!
There's literally no more code because if I want to copy a post, I just copy a post and paste the post. Oh, it didn't make my table as big as I want it. Let's make the table bigger. It messed up with the formatting of my image here, so dang.
Hey, look, Eric, more bugs for the Trello.
Yeah, I'll have to figure that one out, but I could always fix it with source mode. Oh, okay. Yep, I know why now. Anyhow, yeah, copying and pasting, like literally you could copy and paste from the old site and just copy and drop whole blocks of posts. There are certain things that would not work, certain unique features to how we implement it in the legacy Mythweavers that probably wouldn't translate very well, but for the most part,
OC tags don't translate well. Spoiler tags do not translate well.
Okay,
they're buggy.
But for those of you who have large blocks of text and images, those would come across.
And for anyone that says, "Oh, well, I can't copy all this over," it'll take you 5 minutes more to copy your OOC tags over and your spoiler tags and tweak them to work with a new text editor. I mean, it's not like, oh god, I put all this work into my super intricate BB code character sheet and now I have to spend 5 minutes tweaking it to make it work with the new site. I mean, it could take you the same amount of time it took to do it originally.
Right. Maybe even less. Let's see. I think Basil has one in here. This was a copy-paste job from somewhere else just to see if it would work. And that actually came across from an existing Mythweavers post.
Not
Powderhorn.
Yeah, so that's
this one. It looks like he posted from.
Almost looks like he posted from Adobe or something.
Yeah. I don't know. Powderhorn, you on? Doesn't look like it.
No, he's not.
I know there was some effort being put into trying to make character sheets, but that didn't happen. I'm it should be relatively easy to do. And you can literally copy and paste the content from one post to another rather than having to know exactly where in that post I need to drop the value. It's a lot easier to look at the sheet and, oh, the value goes in this table cell.
Oh, worth noting too with the tables. So you can do, there's alignment tools, left align, center, right align. You can also do it via tables, and you can hide the table borders. That is an
Yep.
option. So you can have, blocks of text done via table and then just hide the borders for the post.
All right, here's one for Jimmy. This one actually looks relatively clean. He did copy pasted over and then trimmed out some stuff. But he definitely used the OOC features in here.
Now for stuff like Vampire, where you've got I think it was Vampire that uses the
pips.
The pips. That's as simple as copy paste an image.
Mm-hmm. Just put 4 or 5 pips there.
Yep. So yeah, it's the big thing is, okay, you're not gonna get a flawless copy over from legacy to what's coming. And that's because what was done in legacy was very, very, very hacky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Hence why 3 different upgrade attempts all failed and took down the site for a couple days each.
Right. Ultimately, we looked really hard at just being able to port the data over from the old site into the new site. And aside from the fact that it was literally going to take months, during which the old site might not be available because of the amount of load that it's being put under.
We're working on it.
Ultimately, there's so much bad HTML in the output of the old site that porting it over may actually just not be technically feasible in any finite lifetime.
So since you bring it up, Eric, we are looking at, since I know that'll bring up concerns about so you're just going to start fresh and wipe the old data, we're not doing that. We're working on ways to translate stuff over for active stuff, and then what we're looking at doing for stuff that is older than, X years. So, if it hasn't been touched for, let's say, arbitrarily 5 years, we're looking at ways to just move it over as a read-only format. So it'll still be there, it'll still be present. We're not erasing any data. It's just stuff older than X years, if it's just never been touched since it was created, might get moved over in a read-only capacity. Because otherwise, yeah, it's going to tie up resources for months and months and months, and that means the websites aren't functional for months.
Yeah, and we're not interested in that. We already had enough fun with Discord membership drives that we're not going to do that again.
That one Christmas.
Yes.
That one Christmas, it would have been nice if it was a malicious attack, because then
we wouldn't have had to admit our own.
The programmers could have felt like heroes instead of, oh my god, remember that setting that we tweaked months ago because Amazon said it would help?
Nope, turns out they were wrong for our use case.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the editor, and adding new features to the editor, just relatively simple plugins. Once I figured out how to get around the limitations of inline controls, Colin's right. It took me maybe a couple hours to write it, and a few days with help from lots of people to test, debug, troubleshoot, find all the holes, fix them, and get it deployed. But from a feature development and deployment perspective, that's insanely fast compared to what it would have taken to do it on the old site, if it was even possible.
The site upgrade attempts were attempts to make the dice roller its own module, the game system its own module, all that. We couldn't even make that work. Integrating new features into the existing site? No.
Yeah, this just wasn't going to happen.
That's
All
like
right.
clearing a minefield using your foot.
I prefer to clear the minefield using Colin's foot, but if that's not an option, then okay, fine. Yeah, we're just going to start over. We'll build a new, better minefield.
That's not how that analogy should go.
Okay, the reality is this it's not a minefield, but the reason why we're doing the closed beta now is to find all the dumb things so that when you as regular honest members are showing up wanting to try it out for yourselves when we do the open beta, you won't feel the pain that our testers are currently going through.
And there's been a lot of pain. We're using Trello to go through and log all this, and the first couple months the bug list was massive.
Yep, but we're pretty much down to simple layout things and documentation. So one of the questions that's asked, and it's obviously the elephant in the room that we were going to have to answer, is when are we going to get this open beta, Colin? The reality is Colin says, well, let's just keep moving it out so that it's not a pressure-packed environment. That's not how software development works.
Colin is used to project management in the mechanical and electrical engineering fields where you just add a couple months to things because everyone overpromises.
Right.
And by everyone, I mean sales reps overpromise and make our lives hell.
Right. The only way that you make software developers work is by giving them impossible deadlines and lots of caffeine.
Right. So,
Am I wrong?
I mean, no, but so Avarius, since you mentioned the ETA, I'm just gonna pull up Avarius's questions now. So,
sure.
Can we get more details on new features that are coming? Yeah, we're doing that already. That's honestly kind of most of the podcast. Updates and replacements.
We should probably list them as the things we are thinking about.
What, new stuff that's not on the current site?
Yeah.
Those are all redacted.
But we talked about some of them. The ones that we talked about, we should at least put in a list so that people don't ask.
Fair. God, which ones did you actually disclose partly? Character sheets getting easier.
Sheet integration and character sheets getting easier and extensions to the dice roller. The easy mode for dice rolling, where you can just like click the plus minus for your d6s.
Yes.
Coming.
Now, that said, there is a shitload of other stuff that has been arguably, even conceptually, extensively planned out for site features or massive upgrades to ancient features that got shelved years ago because the current site is a hacky mess and we couldn't do it.
Right. I mean, Shoutbox. Remember Shoutbox, anyone?
Oh, anyone? God, stop Bueller? Making us feel old.
Bueller. Okay, fine. So, we used to have a chat feature directly integrated with the site.
In 2006.
It'd be nice if Discord allowed it. Oh, they do. Yeah, we can go get that working, I'm sure. At the very least, there are features where we can make it so that we can subscribe certain features of the site to Discord so that when we make a site announcement, it gets auto posted to Discord and all of our social medias.
So yeah, it's there are, honestly, I'd have to look at the list again, but I think there's almost a dozen shelved projects that aren't necessarily, half of them aren't even technically complex. We just couldn't do them.
Couldn't integrate it.
Whereas
And
now we've started actually a few of like the admins have gone through that list a few times now, more, you know, somewhat thought experiment territory because there's not time right now. We're working on the open beta. Um, there are, once this gets to its initial release, there are some massive projects coming that are going to be great.
so, open beta, the only thing that's really standing in our way at this point, aside from writing the documentation, is we got to get the infrastructure set up, because right now this is running on a test server, and we just need to roll out the actual production grade server so that we have the horsepower to deal with what we expect is going to be a large number of users. Um, the the quotes that we've been getting from the test group are, it feels harder and harder to go back to old Mythweavers and write posts because it's just so easy on the new Mythweavers. It's so slick, it's so user friendly that why do I have to go back?
Powder's been whinging about that for a week at least.
Yep.
Um, so yes,
And he was the big, like, we have to have a wiki. It has to be a wiki, like a wiki is a wiki, the way old wiki works.
yeah, and
And what
that's world building. Like we said earlier, old wiki for now is going to stay. It may be getting phased out in favor of games having their
pages.
world pages and us being able to use articles for the greater site for help articles, that sort of thing.
And literally, there is nothing wrong with making a game that is a world building
Yeah.
host game,
Oh yeah, that's a worthwhile note. So
and you can then cross link it.
the existing site rules for stuff like game forums may only be used for games. You can't do character repositories. You can't do this. You can't do that.
Screw it.
Most of those, the majority of that stuff was due to site stability on the current site. It's not because we're trying to control, oh, you can or can't do this. It's because there are days where the current production site feels like it's balanced on a knife's edge.
Yeah.
Typically not that bad, but every now and then we get depressive about it. So it's
I mean, when you log into Discord in the morning and you start seeing people say, "Is the site slow for anyone else?" And the first thing you do is go look at the site statistics, and you're like, "Oh, why is that?" And a couple minutes later, it goes back to normal. Like,
you can't figure out why. Something happened. Why?
dark magic.
So yeah, it's yeah.
Anyway, we should not
Yeah,
spend
so
precious time worrying
so
about.
yes. Avarius' last two questions, possibility of open beta. Open beta's coming, ETA TBD. Eric is saying sooner than I am.
I want it by the end of February. I want it in place of the Mythweavers virtual meetup. I want to be in a few weeks saying, "Hey guys, we're going to have a live streamed opening event for open beta."
So when the question becomes how did Colin die? It's because Eric's wife hunted him down and blamed him for Eric going into a work frenzy after work.
Well, I mean, the reality of the February date, it comes down to, I've been working 60-hour weeks. Rodrigo has been working 60-hour weeks. Colin has been working 50-hour weeks. Okay.
I figured out realistic hours. Suddenly my wife limiting how much I'm allowed to work after work is making so much sense.
Yes. Yes, it does. Anyhow, this has been kind of a rough January for all three of us. So the the timing, is that's why we haven't put a firm date down, is because, well, to be honest, the three of us have not been on a Discord chat with each other since Christmas.
It's worth noting too, Rodrigo and Eric are the ones that actually matter for this. I just flogged the code monkeys.
Colin is the program manager. He is the Baylor with the whip.
I didn't want it. The programmers made me the program manager and informed me after the decision.
Well, who else was it gonna be? Chimmy?
I mean, Jimmy seems like a sadist.
Fair enough.
All
I
right.
think that's accurate. Anyhow, um, so yeah, as soon as we can possibly get it rolled out, we will definitely give advance warning. But that's yeah, Colin is the beard, the beard that makes the rest of us look sexy.
Hey now. Hey now. Um. Okay, let me glance over the pre-podcast stuff. Vladim. Interested in a smartphone functionality. Plans for an app. Doing it all in the browser is a bit tricky at times. There will not be an app because this is not our full-time jobs. However, as Eric is showing off now, um,
Yeah, mobile layout's a thing that we get for free.
yeah. So
The menus all collapse up here, so it's really easy to go here and be like browse, be like games. You can get to the game list, start a game directly from the game list because you can. You get the game directory down below. Things may scroll more, but hey, when you're doing it with your finger instead of a mouse, it's kind of not that hard.
so admittedly, our Mythweavers meetup unveiling of this, we talked a little over much about this, and it definitely did seem to some folks like this is why we were doing it. It's not why we're doing it. It's just we're so damn giddy about it because we didn't even have to do anything to get it.
That was literally, yeah.
Because
Free features for developers are free features.
so it can be an ordeal going through the site on your mobile phone to make a post. If
See,
it's a pain
old
that way,
old
imagine what
Mythweavers.
going into the admin control panel is like in the current site and
Uh-huh.
trying to navigate. You think current Mythweavers is unfriendly? Oh, go into the admin control panel there. Half the time
There's
I have it freeze while I'm trying to zoom in on things.
hmm Yeah, yeah. All this bad layout and nothing's responsive is a real problem. Here it's easy because I can just go to my games and this is Powderhorn's game. There's the members. Oh, here's all that content before. All those tabs are now in a drop down so that it doesn't take up horizontal orientation. Yeah, there's my
Yeah. So yes, we never
oh,
meant to make it seem like this was why we were changing it. We were
let's
just
delete.
really excited about this because, well, God, a lot of the
Yeah.
times I'm doing username change requests and stuff like that from mobile. Um, Spam bot reports, I'm typically spam banning those via mobile.
hmm
I do a lot of administrative tasks for Mythweavers for my cell phone, and it is hell, and the fact that I am proficient in it horrifies me.
Yep.
Just to no end.
Oh yeah. Oh, skipped over that you can actually create rules for your game and people will have to roger up to them before joining.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that was kind of cool. Anyhow, that's neither here nor there. So we got mobile. Themes. Themes was another thing that was extremely hard in the old site. Um, this is the one that looks kind of like Mythweaver's version 4. The default theme is very blue-white, which, if those of you who shun light mode, this is very hard on the eyes. It burns us!
This process.
Um,
Um,
but
yeah.
Andrew's been hard at work at a dark mode.
Yes, yes, that's right. I forgot he's been hammering at
Man,
this.
this is a really sexy dark mode. I mean, it's not black and white. It's soft.
Smexy dark mode. Now, important things for those of you that are in my camp. The lime theme. Yep, see, Chimi's got my back. Lime mode keeps getting brought up. They can't escape us forever. And
For
then I.
those of you who remember Lime Mode from Mythweaver's V2.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, God, that carried over from. That carried over from D&D online games. And I'm not. I know
Good people.
for the longest time it was, oh, we don't talk about where we spawned from. Hatchets were buried. Everyone's friendly now. It's way back in the day there was a schism that created Mythweavers. These days it's RPG crossing. They got a thing that's great. We got a thing that's great. We talk to each other. Everyone's friendly.
Yep.
but Lime theme was a thing there, and it was glorious. And then I think Andrew made a comment at some point about dark mode for Lime theme. I feel like it was supposed to be a joke, and he didn't expect us to like go, "Oh yes, we totally need a dark Lime mode."
It's gonna happen. Are there
Are there?
screenshots? Yeah, if you go into like the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive, you can find screenshots of.
I've got it even easier, Eric. I'm gonna because RPG Crossing still has Lime.
Oh, okay, fine.
So if we do a Lime mode, though, it's not gonna be a duplicate of the existing Lime theme. We're gonna do something nicer.
Oh no, not avocado mode. It will not be avocado green. All
Let me
right. What else
see.
do we have on user questions?
Just Logan's stuff. Here, let me.
Colin,
I got those. I
Colin,
got those. So let's see.
Colin, why are there locks on all of the forums?
All right. So question one: Map maker status. When? How? What? Go to hell, Logan. Not happening still. Um, when Logan? When you pay the programmers double their current full-time job rates. Why are there locks? Because Lockerbie hates you.
Colin, why are there locks here on the forums?
I hate you so much. God, there are locks on the forums, aren't there? You changed an icon. I hate you.
I did.
I am not drunk. I need to get there quick, apparently.
Clearly not drunk enough for this podcast.
All right. Okay. The only remaining legitimate question, ignoring Logan, from Zub, one of our newer members. As
Is it
someone new,
Zub?
Zub. I'm not sure. I'd
Shub?
have to ask him.
Yeah, I'm sure she would grace us with a pronunciation guide.
So, as someone new to Mythweavers, is there any aspect of the community that came out of the current forum's functionality that you specifically tried to capture or replicate with Baldr? Field sets, OC tags, tables just without the hell that is the current tables,
Dice, but
dice.
making it so that like the dice editing process wasn't so tied to how you wrote your post, so that if you accidentally move text around, you got the "you're a bad person" warning, and you couldn't make it go away. Now you can't actually get the "you're a bad person" warning, because when you go add dice, they're there forever. You
So,
can't remove them.
got those. We didn't really have to replicate the game system because Envision came with what we needed there.
But yes, the ability for game owners to control their games, um, the ability to have games with different access controls on them.
Yes.
So you can see over here in my games list, I've got open games. Open games are literally walk up and play. You want to join? You click the join button. You're part of the game. You may have to accept the rules, but yeah, basically you join. Closed games, these are ones where if you ask to join, the GM has to approve you joining. Read-only games. Reader mode works really badly in existing Mythweavers. Read-only is a built-in feature for Envision, so
Wait, what?
anyone could.
I thought we were trying to make that work. I didn't think that
Make
was
what
native.
work? No, this is totally native. So you can join the game as a reader without actually having the ability to post. So that makes the GM's life easier, because it's not like their omniscient people can just throw cluttered content in there.
Oh,
And if you're not a member, you can literally not post in the forums. So there's no cross spamming.
I know what I'm remembering now. GMs being able to change the game status.
Right. Right
That we're
now
still working on.
there's a plugin that I'm in the works. to be able to change the game status. But right now, the game status is a fixed thing that only the admin staff can actually change. Private games, that's the last one. So you can actually make a game that the only people who can see it are the people who are the members, and so it's invite only.
Which is like we have currently.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and then there's the advertising status, which is still final
Half done.
iteration isn't realized. We don't have a. It'll be similar to the current setup, but not. Like there's not going to be a game advertisements forum.
Right. Because you don't need it.
Yeah,
your advertisements discussion can literally take place inside your game. You can organize it however you want. We don't need to control it.
Which means a few more rules going away for what you can and can't talk about in game ads.
Right. Because we don't care as long as it's not breaking the global site rules. Yeah. Managing this game forum here, literally one of the hardest jobs that we had. Back when I was a young mod, we burned out a lot of people having to watch this all the time.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, it's one of those things, the stuff they were watching for wasn't even like, oh god, they're saying horrible, horrible, lewd things. It was like, there are several rules that are in place on the current site because we are preserving site function.
Right.
Not because we're trying to micromanage things, but we're trying to keep things from turning into a grenade.
Right. And the permissions model for this particular forum had to be very loose because we couldn't make every GM a moderator of the forum.
Because then they could mess with each other's ads, and if the idyllic way to look at it is, no one would mess with each other's ads, and the staff answer is, you haven't seen some of the grudges and fights that have happened on this site over a game.
Yeah, it's just a game, Jimmy.
We have had all-out flame wars because someone got turned down. Yeah, their character got rejected, and it's turned into a multi-year grudge that ends in a flame war.
And somebody getting banned.
Yeah, that's happened a couple times, and we do not ban lightly.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jimmy, we weren't mad. Only you were mad. Just because you turned in front of Sarek's torpedoes.
Like the first one that you launched at him was, I think, an invitation. Come at me, bro.
You sent Sarek a friendly nudge. He responded favorably. Oh, that joke's gonna go till we die.
To Matt's point, yeah.
Oh yeah, it doesn't even have to be malicious. Yeah, I could see, oops, where'd my ad go? Oh, oops.
I deleted your ad, or I overwrote your ad with my own.
Yeah.
The editing history is something that we get to keep too, so that's awesome.
Yeah, it's God.
But
we're preserving the core features while getting so much more.
And honestly, being able to expand what we do for the public forums of the game, or public forums of Mythweavers, so restricted by kind of this old school layout here, where it just was not very friendly to expanding the type of content that we offer, because we could only have these big categories. Now we can, okay, well, here's all the general community stuff and just organized better.
It's worth noting too, I believe, isn't it user configurable, the view layout for this, Eric?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can, well, the user configurability.
They can't go to tiles in this, can they?
No, but they can, like, okay, I don't care. Okay, maybe I don't care about tabletop RPGs. I'm just here for the open discussion. You can collapse down all the things that you don't care about, and it remembers. So that's your layout now.
Eric, there's a problematic member that's not online in that. You should probably take away their whitelist IP permissions. Don't want to point fingers, but their username starts with a C.
Does it rhyme with gimme?
Possibly. But yeah, so it's God, yeah, features, things, stuff.
Like calendars and announcements,
Oh yeah, yeah,
we
we might as well
preserved
go
and
into a few
improved.
options here. So events like right now, if we have a digital meetup coming up, or we have like our live in-person meetup that's coming up again this year, um, we've been having to do all of that stuff with like we made an entirely new forum on the current site for the in-person meetup and the digital meetups. And it is such a headache having to like go through. Chase does a lot of the work and she has to go in, archive old stuff, add new stuff, and it's a nightmare. And then, the way people find out is we have to make announcements in the announcements forum, which a lot of people don't even follow. And notice banners, and everyone hates notice banners. We hate notice banners, and we use the hell out of them.
Yep.
So yeah, now we can do events that appear in a calendar. And
And
it
then you
just,
can have a comment feed that goes along with it.
yep. So, and yeah, and I believe I'd have to look because I don't remember, but I believe there's also ways to make a game forum based off a public event.
There's certainly ways to cross-link it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been a while since we messed around with that, but I
But the
remember
cal
there being ways to, yeah.
the calendar feature's pretty awesome.
And you can even, for your individual stuff, you can make events within your game.
Hmm.
And your players will see that as an available thing, but not the community at large.
Subscribing to calendars?
Yep,
Yes, please.
calendar subscriptions. Yeah,
Storefront
making
coming
me work,
soon.
making me
TM.
work.
Well,
So,
not just you, it's also Amy,
yeah, yeah.
who talk about busy.
No, that's the problem. It's also Amy, which means I'm gonna have to do twice the work because Amy's got enthusiasm and energy.
Just gonna make you keep up. That's really what it is.
Yeah. So we used to actually have a Mythweaver storefront, and
Ages ago.
oh my god, it persisted for a while. It really did. So the Mythweaver storefront was linked to Amazon, and anything that was like sold under our storefront but not really, we got a little bit of the proceeds. Um, so it was like
It's
tabletop rule
Amazon Smile
books.
program.
Yeah, it was tabletop rule books and stuff, and well, let's face it, you had to click the link and it was generally useless and a pain in the ass, and no one did it, and why are we investing the time in this if it's not really going towards keeping the site functional? Because Mythweavers is still completely volunteer driven. We don't make cash off this. But yes,
Yeah.
so the community supporters, yes, I was getting there. Currently, the community supporters bit is also a kind of hacky-ish thing.
See the number of threads Rodrigo has with Stripe integration going down and him banging his head against the e-commerce wall.
I swear I can hear the screams from California every time it happens. Um, so yeah, the new site will have a storefront. The primary thing there is going to be the community supporter subscriptions, which benefits of which are still TBD because
But they
the benefits for the new site are going to be a little bit different from the benefits of the old site because there's more stuff that we're letting people natively do on the new site. Old site, some of those benefits are because it just cost more in site resources, so you got to have a few extra things because, hey, you're helping us keep the lights on.
Yep.
Now there's going to be other perks. But
Data integration.
yeah, the big thing is there's full e-commerce integration into this, so community supporter is a thing. Eventually, not for this coming Mythweavers meetup, but the Mythweavers in-person meetup, we're able to set it up so that, hey, now you can register on the site directly and pay through the e-commerce portal from the site instead of the way it is now where you have to fill out an online form to register and then you have to go to PayPal separately, the Mythweavers PayPal, and pay the money and put in a note and what it's for. And then I have to go and look at the form submissions and compare it to PayPal money movement and go, okay, this person paid, and authorize them for the game forum access for the meetup.
Yep.
Instead, it'll be
So much
all
manual
automatic.
effort.
Yeah. So the new site will be able to have specific events where, okay, if it's like the in-person meetup and there's a registration fee, everything is run through that way. We don't have to fight it.
Yeah. Um,
There is
y-
also likely going to be at least some t-shirts that are community-oriented t-shirts. But, we're not anything done involving like a site storefront type thing exists to help grow the site. At no point is it ever going to be, oh, people are getting paid, anything like that. It's any e-commerce stuff is, hey, not only can we keep the lights on, but maybe we can add a few rooms to the building. It's going to let us grow the site, grow features, add more power to things for the servers.
mhm. What things, if any, are you glad to see go by the wayside in this new iteration?
Add forum.
Um,
Community support or subscription method.
uh, Site discussion. I won't say site discussion in that that people discussing about the site is bad, but like when you need help right now, the best way to get the help is to throw up a thread in site discussion. Even
Yeah.
if it's the 20th time we've answered that same thread, it's so hard to find the previous answer. Having an actual like support ticketing system where you can, okay, fine, yep, we haven't set it up yet, but like having an actual support ticketing system where you can go in and be like, I need help, and then the whole moderation team is aware of it, so we can go tackle it. That's awesome. Um, Having articles
Yeah.
that are searchable, um, like
Yeah.
I can't even.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. The site rules, all that stuff, as they are on the wiki, are very likely going to get replaced by articles
Like, yeah, here's
before open beta is done.
mhm. This was literally a copy paste from the old wiki.
Did it preserve the table of
Yeah,
content links as actually functional?
I think so. Checking. Oh yeah.
Sometimes we get excited because it works in ways you didn't expect it to actually work.
Uh-huh. Obviously, this article is useless because it talks about how to do
BB
BB
code
code tag.
stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact that we could copy and paste it and it preserved
Hmm.
even the table of content links in article, yeah.
Yeah. Simple things. Simple things make us happy.
Alright, so I think we've pretty much covered our overview stuff. Anyone that's currently watching have any questions that haven't been covered yet related to the site in advance, Jimmy?
The check is in the mail, Jimmy. Every single penny of your salary is on its way.
It's been in the mail for the past year and a half. I don't know why you haven't gotten it yet.
Maybe if you gave us your bank account number, like we asked, and your routing number, we could
Social
solve this problem.
security number.
Just butt it to you. It gets real boring when Colin walks off and leaves me sitting here holding the beer. Questions. I'm staring at the chat. There are no questions. I can't carry this by myself. I'm really feeling like Garth in that part of the movie where Wayne walks off the set and Garth just stares at the camera.
Staring and staring and... I mean, I figured the chat would at least give you questions to help, but no.
Yeah, no, that didn't happen.
I
looked.
refuse to believe we were that amazing with the explanations and descriptions and, hey, here's what might be coming in the future, that there's no questions.
No, but they may have all wandered off after 2 hours. They got tired of us.
I'm amazed this many people stuck around with us this long.
Yeah, Tiff's fallen asleep. Yeah. Okay, well,
Why is Tiff even...
it's Saturday night. It's all right for fighting.
Cleo, I pay your salary. Just remember that. I pay your Mythweaver salary. But go ahead. Stars without numbers, more Mythweavers friendly teams. Planet Mercenary will require a couple tweaks and additions. Could you clarify that, Cleo? Question was, can we see game events?
Oh, yeah, if you make a calendar for a game, which is an excellent question. If you put a calendar in your game, you can actually make those events visible outside of just your game. And I think the best way just to show that off, since I don't think anyone's actually done it, is you can set this view here to all calendars instead of just the community calendar. Come on.
No one else has actually set up a
no
calendar,
one
so you
else
can't
has created
select
a calendar, so there's only just the one calendar to view. But yeah, you can actually...
If someone makes a game calendar, yeah.
Should I mess with his game and make a game calendar?
Clearly. It'd be irresponsible not to. My favorite part is the allow reviews. We'll probably have to remove that.
There it is.
Alright, so if you go to calendar view.
Sorry, didn't actually create the event. Yeah, so now if I go to the master calendar, I should be able to do this.
He said as he found more bugs.
Yeah, this is an out-of-the-box thing. So I have to figure out what setting that is that we screwed up
Click the setting gear.
with this one. That's
Oh,
just the
yeah.
download and the subscribe.
Control F5.
I may have to actually follow the calendar before I can see it.
Control F5.
Ah, screen reader!
What did you do?
Well, Control F5 does different things depending on the browser that you're in.
Command F5? I forgot you're on Mac, even though I'm looking at the little circles right there that say you're on a
Yeah.
Mac. Alright, anyway,
You broke it, man. Hide
hit
reader.
Control F5 again to fix it, clearly. Yeah, I broke it. Alright,
Yeah, you really did.
Clio, will the store eventually have features where you can buy things made written by our members? Maybe. And I say maybe, so for instance, you've got Farland, who's been part of helping Mythweavers run, promoting Mythweavers, all that for, well, God, since the site started in 2006. So Farland PDFs probably going to be available in the Mythweaver storefront. As far as overall, so the issue we run into with, oh, this member makes this really cool thing and, they want to sell it, and us offering it for sale, we run into a couple things. We run into, A, you have to rely on that person to ship it accordingly. If they don't ship it for 2 weeks, we facilitated the transfer, now I have to deal with that issue. And then, okay, let's say you've got one person selling their custom gaming dice that are really cool, and now, 6 more people want to sell their custom resin gaming dice. How do we choose who gets to and who doesn't? It turns into very much a thing where the person overall in charge of managing the store, which is me for my sins, has to then suddenly justify, why does this person get to sell Mythweavers and I can't? And it's
Right.
it's a nightmare. Um, yeah, so published folks. So anything that's digital delivery, that's easy. So Farland selling PDF books, stuff like that, it's easy. There's actually stuff in the storefront where we can automatically set it up where Mythweavers gets X%, they get X% per previous agreements, and it all just works. So published PDF modules is more likely than, say, this person makes a cool leather-bound adventurer's log. Physical goods are probably where the line is going to get drawn for the most part out of something directly controlled by site staff. Just because we're not going to be responsible for guaranteeing that someone's going to ship something. We don't want to be Amazon. We don't want to be eBay. We might want Chimi to have to deal with more stuff through his work, but that's just because Chimi deserves it. He
Pretty
knows what he
much.
did. Yes, in a very roundabout, rambling manner.
That's a
Yes,
no.
yes, and no.
Hmm.
There will be some stuff, probably less so physical goods, and even then it's going to be up to staff review, and it'll probably be in the staff vote territory. It won't be down to one person making the call.
Right.
Because despite accusations that have happened in the past from people that have egregiously broken rules and accused us of renegade solo moderation. We the site staff works as a team.
And the new tools, makes it so easy to work as a team because when something gets reported, we actually have our own comment thread.
Let's face it, we're still going to discuss it primarily through Discord because, yeah, so reports and rule breaks and all that typically get discussed for a couple hours on the staff Discord. So there's no hasty decisions.
Chimmy Trello me. Discord integration for reports.
Um, Chimi. So Mythweaver's design shirts sold through whatever shirt printing site Mythweaver's uses. So drop shipping. That is possible. So there's going to be some Mythweaver community centric t-shirts. They're all going to be done through a drop shipping printing service. So, yep. So stuff similar to that, even though that's just like a quick whip up, hey, look, the storefront works example. Drop shipping type stuff like that is going to be something that will happen because we don't have to make it, we don't have to ship it. We
Fast, easy.
Yeah, it's if all that happens is the member clicks add to cart and checks out, and it automatically sends that information to the print provider, and I believe I'd have to check, but I'm pretty sure it does to both of the dropship print providers we've looked at. That's doable. Just, we've got some members that make some really cool, fantasy slash sci-fi themed artisanal type stuff for a hobby, and they are awesome. And I have zero issue paying for them personally. But we can't officially list them on the site without also having to deal with any complaints and any problems. And Mythweavers, I'm still on staff because I'm a masochist, but I've got limits, and dealing with e-commerce hell with customer support is not one of them.
Yeah.
We're
not interested in that business.
I've done e-commerce on the side, for licensed business activities, and that sucked. Doing it for something where it's... Is it a passion project by this point, Eric, or is Mythweavers more like Stockholm Syndrome for us?
That's probably more the reality. We've been here so long, we can't imagine not being here.
Yeah, pretty much. We'll die, whenever we die going, oh, but Mythweavers, who will take care of it?
Chimmy's spawn.
So yeah. Any other questions before we start to wrap up?
Probably should have taken the break at the hour point, because if anyone has been around here for 2 hours...
I assume they just went and, took their break and came back. The fact that we just kept rolling says disturbing... Oh, wait, I did take a break. I walked away from you.
Yes, you did. Left me alone. It was pretty scary. Anyhow, so before we wrap up, we just want to remind anyone who's watching that Mythweavers Meetup 2 is coming up here in 5 months.
So June...
5 months, Colin. Holy cow. We got to get games. We got to get venues. Is your venue even repaired yet?
It will be repaired by end of February.
Woo!
So...
we skipped a question. Dang it. We'll get back to your question.
We'll get back to your question about the time we click end stream.
Yeah.
Anyhow. P.S. Go to hell, Chimi. Why does our mod staff stay around?
Stockholm Syndrome.
Oh, okay, it's them too. Alright, yeah. So yes, Mythweavers meetup happening in Kalamazoo, Michigan again, June 25th and 26th. Um, what was it? It's a Saturday Sunday event. So all day Saturday, morning to evening, like late evening, if last time was any indication. And Sunday is a little bit over a half day because people need to travel home, all that. Um, it's a $30 for Saturday or $50 for both day type registration event. All the money goes into paying for the venue, or any overruns go into the site fund for helping keep the site running and helping with. So the few times we've had contests, stuff like that, we're pulling money from the site fund to get prizes. Sometimes we get donations, but a lot of it is we're using site funds from donations to make events happen. So, yeah, I mean it's a fun event. There's games, there's board games, there's card games. There's a lot of
There's
yelling at each other from across the room. There's drinks, there's food.
there's meeting the people who actually have the fun with you all the time.
Yeah, that's I will say that was so Mythweavers meetup last year near the end of July was the first time several of us have actually met each other face to face. We've talked on voice before, we may have talked on cam before, but a lot of us, it was the first time we'd actually gotten to hang out. I've known Eric for years. I've talked with him on video, called him, like we text each other fairly frequently. Last year was the first time we've actually been in the same room together.
Had an actual handshake.
Yes. So it's a blast. It was fun last year. It's going to be fun this year. Yeah. If you can
There are
make it,
kobolds.
there are kobolds. And there is a hotel, a reasonably priced hotel, right next door to the venue.
Stayed there last time. Can recommend.
Yeah, it's going to be good times. All the details are in the God, what's the name of that forum?
The game form that I'm about to pop up here, down here at the bottom right, Mythweavers events, Mythweavers
Yes.
Meetup Kalamazoo,
Yep.
which, as of this moment,
We
is
got
that still
openings.
accurate?
I probably not. One moment, I'll tell you.
Dang it, Colin.
I got to
Keep it
follow
up
up
to
with a
date.
couple people that didn't properly fill out things. So,
Again, you're talking about better integration tools that we wish we had. Mythweavers Meetup 3 will have all those tools online.
yeah. Yeah. So, we've had people that forgot to fill out their site username in the registration form. It's like, well, the email you use to register is not the email you use on the site, so I don't know who you are, and I hope that you see my email instead of it going to your spam folder. Um, maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, I might have had this browser open for a little while. It might be lagging a wee bit. Come on. Come on. Or I can just go to mobile.
Yeah, you could. You could just pick up your phone and do it.
We have currently uh potentially 51 spots left. I have to follow up with someone that is either a bot or had issues filling out the form.
Okay.
Yes.
Tiffany asks, what's the time scale for going live? Like full production live? that will really depend on how the beta goes.
Yeah, it's
Let's say fourth quarter of this year.
well, so it's worth noting. So right now the closed beta, when we go from closed beta to open beta, everything done on the closed beta pretty much, outside of maybe layout and settings, is going to get nuked. Not because we necessarily want to do it, but because we're going from what is considered a test instance per our license with Envision to, yeah, over to, a full server setup. So when we do that, the data doesn't necessarily translate per licensing stuff, I believe, Eric.
There's some rules. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to
So,
follow all the rules.
which is fine because otherwise you get stuck watching a bunch of us just acting like idiots on the closed beta forum. So really, it's a win.
Yeah, I think the real thing that's going to get everyone is most people want to keep their snazzy user numbers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the data that's in the test site right now has got user numbers all over the place.
Yeah, it does. So yeah, we'll
Rodrigo's going to get number one, not me.
really, as far as we've discussed in the past, all the existing user data is pretty much going to pull over outside of, I think, ones that have been inactive or banned.
Yeah, but maybe I might like a different user number than the one I've currently got
Yeah,
because I
it's
think I think I'm somewhere in the 13,000s.
sucks to be you.
Yeah, I know. Pretty much all the time.
Of course, Logan likes to always lord over me that he's a lower number than me. I keep threatening to change his user number.
Yeah, I'm 16,547.
I think I was 114. I've been on this site too damn long. All right, we're starting to actually like reminisce, and that means we're
Yeah,
probably
we shouldn't be recording that.
no.
Like, it's just going to be bad.
All right, so yeah,
So with
Mythweavers
that,
meetup fun. We hope this has been informative for folks.
we're going to do
And
this again in
yes,
in a more frequent way and not 2 hours at a time.
yes, and we might eventually have some visual walkthroughs for the user guide. There's no timeline for that because it's dependent on our schedules, and our schedules are just screwed up right now. But eventually.
Yep. Yeah, I just looked at my calendar for this week and
You don't need sleep that much, right?
don't need to be around the family either, apparently.
Ah, who wants to have kids and interact with them? Be that dad from the 1920s.
Sorry.
Hey, the daughter's fun. Maybe not
Yeah.
for y'all. I mean, she seems like she's hell for her parents, but
Oh,
she's
no,
hysterical
actually,
for your friends.
from a teenage girl perspective, she is awesome. I don't have to be afraid.
Oh, quit demanding, Jimmy. Alright, so we will get more of these coming soon. Thank you for everyone joining us.
I'm Eric. I've been joined by the Bearded Wonder.